Hey everyone, ready for a deep dive into AI? I mean, it's everywhere you look these days, right?
It really is. You turn on the news, AI this, AI that. It's a lot to keep up with.
Exactly. And, beyond the headlines, it's like, how is this actually going to change things for us, in our everyday lives?
Yeah.
And what about the kids growing up with all this? So that's what we're tackling in this deep dive.
And we've got some fascinating material to work with, too.
We do. On the one hand, we have Digital Darwin, this Australian organization.
Right. And they're all about giving people the tools to thrive in this AI-powered world.
Yeah, and what I find so interesting about them is they're not so much about the tech itself. It's more like, okay, AI is happening. How do we humans adapt and make the most of it?
It's a very human-centered approach, which is refreshing.
Totally. And they're specifically focused on this region in Australia, the Northern Territory, which already has its own unique challenges, but they want to make it like a model for the future.
Yeah, sort of like a testing ground for what it means to succeed in this new era. And then on the completely opposite end of the spectrum, we have Schelling AI with this incredibly ambitious, almost futuristic vision AI Atlantis.
Talk about a contrast, right? So Digital Darwin is all about practical skills and mindsets for the AI age, and then you have Schelling AI painting this picture of a world completely transformed by AI.
Exactly. And it really makes you think, like, what if the biggest impact of AI isn't just robots taking our jobs, but something far more fundamental?
Okay, now you've got me hooked.
Right. So Digital Darwin lays out these core characteristics, this human edge, that they believe will be crucial in this new world. Kindness, calmness, empathy, communication, curiosity. The list goes on.
And what's interesting is those are all qualities that are important now, even without AI in the picture.
Absolutely. But Digital Darwin argues they become even more important, not less, when you've got AI handling more of the technical stuff.
It's like AI might be able to process 1 million data points in a second, but it can't replicate genuine human connection.
Exactly. It can't understand the nuances of human emotion, the power of a kind word, a listening ear.
And that's where their focus on kindness comes in.
Yeah.
Like in a world that can feel increasingly impersonal, especially online, that human touch becomes even more valuable.
It's like they're saying, yeah, the world's changing fast, but don't forget to be human.
I love that. It really makes you stop and think, In a world that's going a mile a minute, are we forgetting how to just be present?
It's so easy to get caught up in the whirlwind of it all.
Right. And I feel like that's where Digital Darwin's emphasis on calmness and contemplation really hits home.
It's like they're saying, hey, take a breath, look around, think things through.
Exactly. And, it's funny because there's this ancient philosophy, Stoicism.
Oh, yeah, I'm familiar with that.
And they have this idea, memento mori, which basically means remember you are mortal.
Right, a reminder of our own limitations. And it was meant to help people focus on what truly matters. Kind of puts things in perspective, doesn't it?
It really does. And I see a connection there with what Digital Darwin is saying. It's about creating space in your life for reflection.
Exactly. Not letting yourself get so swept up in the day-to-day that you lose sight of the bigger picture.
And in a world that's constantly throwing information at you, that's more important than ever.
Absolutely. It's about being mindful, making intentional choices, rather than just reacting to everything.
And this isn't just about feeling calmer, right?
Yeah.
Digital Darwin argues that this calmness, this ability to think clearly, is also crucial when you're talking about AI.
Oh, absolutely. Because we need people who can look beyond the hype, who can really assess the situation and make good decisions about how these technologies are developed and used.
Which leads perfectly into their next characteristic, empathy and ethics.
And boy, does that one feel relevant when you think about the potential power of AI.
Right. I mean, we're talking about machines that can process information, learn, and make decisions at speeds we can barely comprehend.
It's mind-blowing. And so making sure those decisions are actually aligned with our values, well, that's a huge responsibility.
It's like that old saying, with great power
Comes great responsibility. Exactly. And that responsibility falls on us, the humans who are creating and using these technologies.
So we need to be asking ourselves, what are the potential biases built into these systems? How do we avoid those? How do we make sure AI is used for good?
Big questions, for sure. And I think Digital Darwin is right to emphasize empathy here.
Because if you want to create AI that truly serves humanity, you need to understand what it means to be human.
Our hopes, our fears, our flaws, all of it.
It's about remembering that behind all the algorithms, there are real people, real lives being impacted.
Well said.
And that actually takes us to communication and connection, which might seem obvious.
But in our increasingly digital world, it's a skill that needs attention, that's for sure.
It really is. Because it's not just about getting your point across, right? It's about really listening, building bridges, finding common ground.
Those are skills that AI can't replicate.
Exactly. It makes me think of that story about the Tower of Babel.
Oh, I see the connection.
All of humanity trying to build this tower to reach the heavens, but their language gets all jumbled up.
And the project falls apart because they can't communicate. It's a powerful story.
And it makes you think, we have this amazing potential with AI, but if we can't communicate effectively, build trust, work together.
We could end up creating something that divides us instead of uniting us.
Exactly. Which is why Digital Darwin's focus on that final characteristic, curiosity and critical thinking, is so crucial.
It's like the engine that drives all the other qualities.
Curiosity pushes us to learn, to explore, to ask why, and critical thinking helps us make sense of it all.
Especially in a world where AI can create things that look and sound incredibly real.
Right. AI can generate images, write articles, even compose music, and it's getting better all the time. So how do we know what's real and what's not? How do we form our own opinions?
That's where critical thinking comes in. You can't just passively consume information anymore. You have to be an active participant, questioning, evaluating, thinking for yourself.
So we've got this toolkit now, this human edge, to help us navigate this AI-driven world. But then there's Schelling AI with this completely different perspective. They're talking about a future where AI isn't just a tool, it's everywhere.
It's like they're saying the floodgates are about to open and we need to be ready.
Exactly. And I'm curious, with all this focus on human skills, how does that actually play out in a world like that?
It's a wild thought, right? Going from AI as this helpful tool to AI being woven into every aspect of life.
It really is. It's like, how do we even wrap our heads around that?
Well, Schelling AI uses this phrase, files to flows. It's like we're moving from this world where information is static, like in files on a computer, to this constant flow of information being analyzed and acted on by AI in real time.
Okay, I kind of get that. But do you have an example? It's a big jump.
Sure. Think about traffic. Right now, it's kind of a mess, right? But imagine if AI could optimize every route in real time based on traffic flow, weather, even construction schedules. Suddenly, commuting becomes smooth and efficient.
Okay, yeah, I can see that. Or what about education? Instead of a one-size-fits-all approach, AI could create a personalized learning experience for every student.
Exactly. Constantly adapting to their strengths, weaknesses, learning style. The possibilities are mind-blowing once you start thinking about it.
They really are. But it also makes you wonder, with all this AI working in the background, what role do we play? Do we even have control anymore?
That's the big question, right?
Yeah.
But Schelling AI, they have a really interesting take on this. They say this shift from files to flows could actually enhance human agency.
Really? How so? That seems counterintuitive.
And they use this analogy of centaurs.
Like the mythical creatures, half human, half horse?
Exactly. They're saying that humans and AI working together in concert could be far more capable than either could be on their own. So it's not about humans versus AI, it's about humans and AI as a team.
Precisely. Think about a doctor, right? They're already brilliant. But imagine if they had an AI assistant that could analyze medical images, sift through research, basically give them superpowers when it comes to diagnosis and treatment.
Wow. Or an architect designing a building.
Right. AI could help them model different materials, energy efficiency, all while the architect focuses on the creative vision, the human needs of the people using the building. It's a powerful concept.
It is. But, and I hate to sound like a broken record, but with great power
comes great responsibility. You're absolutely right. We can't just get starry-eyed about the possibilities. We have to think about the potential downsides, too.
So where do we even begin? How do we make sure this AI-powered future is one we actually want to live in?
Well, Schelling AI argues that we're at a crossroads. The decisions we make right now about how we develop AI, how we use it, how we govern it, those decisions are going to determine whether this future is amazing or, frankly, terrifying.
No pressure, then. Okay, so what kind of decisions are we talking about? Give me an example.
One of the biggest concerns is the potential for AI to be controlled by just a few powerful entities. Governments, corporations, you name it.
So instead of AI benefiting everyone, it just widens the gap between the haves and the have-nots.
Exactly. And that's why Schelling AI is such a big proponent of open source AI development. The idea is make the code, the data, everything open and accessible to everyone. That way, no one group can monopolize it.
So I kind of like the difference between a public park open to everyone and a private estate that only a select few have access to.
That's a great way to put it. It's about democratizing access to this powerful technology, making sure it benefits all of humanity. But open source development on its own isn't enough. We need to be thinking about ethical frameworks, regulations, global cooperation. It's complex stuff.
Yeah, feels like the Wild West of technology right now. A lot of potential, but also a lot of risks if we're not careful.
Absolutely. And that's why I think this idea of the human edge that Digital Darwin talks about is so crucial. Even if we manage to create ethical, open source AI, we still need humans who are thoughtful, compassionate, and able to use this technology wisely. We need people who can ask the tough questions, the ethical questions.
It's like we're building a bridge to this new world, right? And AI might be providing the materials, the engineering, but it's our humanity, our values that will determine where that bridge actually leads.
Couldn't have said it better myself. We can't just sit back and let technology decide the future for us. We have to be active participants in shaping that future.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into AI, I think that's the message we want to leave with our listeners. It's an exciting time for sure, but it's also a time for thoughtful reflection and action. We have this incredible opportunity to use AI for good, to create a better world.
To make us more human, not less.
Exactly. So as you go about your day, keep that in mind. What kind of future do you want to see? What role do you want to play in shaping that future? And a huge thank you to our expert for joining us on this journey. Your insights were invaluable.
It was my pleasure. These are conversations we all need to be having.
Absolutely. And listeners, we want to hear from you. What resonated with you? What questions are still swirling around in your head? Join the conversation online, and let's keep exploring this fascinating frontier together. Until next time, stay curious.